So, I don't really have anything fancy to say. I don't really have anything necessarily like, super, flashy, or sexy or like extravagant. You know what I'm saying? Y'all already know what it is. Y'all already know what it be about. This is the KID, the kid that they call Casper. It is Wednesday evening. It's about, let's see, it is 7:36 on the East Coast. You know what I'm saying? For those that are driving or they're in their cars right now, I just hope that you are safe, whether you are mobile or you are parked. For those that are at home, gathered around your family, or you're just watching from your toilet, on your cell phone, tablet, laptop. Do people actually take their laptops into the bathroom? I hope not, because that just sounds like a disaster waiting to happen, personally. I hope y'all not doing that, because that sounds reckless. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It doesn't sound like a good idea. But thank you everybody for checking me out today. Thank you everybody for engaging. Hopefully I've been looking to, kind of tackle this subject matter for a while now. You know what I'm saying? But life kind of got a bit hectic and things got in the way. But to God be the glory that He was able to carve out some time for us to be able to tap into this subject matter today. So before we get into all of that, and all that heaviness, you know what I'm saying? No, it doesn't. What doesn't happen? Oh, as far as like people taking a laptop into I don't know, bruh. I mean, like, I would hope not, but like, you'd be surprised, B. I don't know. But before we get into all that, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna drop the intro real quick.
They threw my ancestors in the ocean. Now we became the new wave, and we're about to drown this system. Every time I go in, every time I go in, every time I go in, boy, I'm jamming. Every time I go in, every time I go in, every time I go in, boy, I'm jamming. I'm a kid, I'm a kid, I'm a kid, boy, I'm jamming. I'm a kid.
Welcome everybody to the Kid Casper podcast. I'm your gracious, beautiful, blessed, beloved, and black host, the kid that they call Casper. The KID in Kid Casper stands for that king of development. I'm that menace with the melanin. So reject me as I am, as long as he is still relevant. If this is your first time tuning in today, engaging, experiencing, suffering. I hope you're not suffering talking to me. I mean, I don't know. I'm not exactly the most interesting person in the world. But then again, I mean, like, sarcasm is my love language. So, like, depending on how much I like you or not, this may be a great time for you. Depending on how much you enjoy sarcasm, this may become enjoyable. And I don't know. Not for the faint of heart, I guess. I don't really know. But welcome everybody this evening. I am that quirky black kid that they call Casper. I am a Christian raptivist. Yes, rapper / activist. I really love Jesus, and I'm sorry to let y'all know that I'm really far from being a pacifist. Like, I love Jesus. I just also like to fight. I don't know what it is. I just think that maybe my people test the waters too much. Like, you're supposed to try the living waters, not these. And I think that has made people not value their lives sometimes. And that's just unfortunate with the mess that we've been through as people and as a people, to think that you should try Jesus and not me. But anyway, ghostthreads.com, that's how we pay the bills around here. Everybody's been asking about, because I've been posting this up lately, this is like one of my favorite things to like show as far as the interwebs go. This is our beautiful, blessed, and beloved hoodie, you know what I'm saying, where we have like my signature color line, you know what I'm saying, where we have English and then we got Japanese, to let people know that the ways that Jesus described you is international. You know what I'm saying? Is intergalactic. And it's beautiful at the end of the day. You know, Jesus called us to be, Jesus called us beautiful, blessed, and beloved. And I figured, why not put it on some threads? And yeah, you know what I'm saying? Taco enthusiast, graphic designer. I can't really think of anything else. I'm an advocate for velvet purple do-rags. Apparently, this is my thing now. The velvet purple do-rags. So it was orange beanies, and velvet purple do-rags. Apparently, it's like my niche. I don't really know how, but evidently it's my niche. But yeah. So, before we, kind of just get long-winded, and monologue into some territory that probably don't make the utmost sense, let me tell y'all why I'm here today. So I've kind of taken the steps as far as in my ministry, in my platform, and I pride myself on being a person that kind of taps certain, I would say, areas, and open spaces to spaces that aren't normally known as spaces, especially if I don't see it in places where I should definitely see it in certain conversations, like the one we're having this evening, which is heavy. And in case you haven't noticed, I am currently here by myself. It's just a one-man show right now. But I did end up putting in a link in the description, the link in the comments for our Facebook, our Twitter, our YouTube consumers, for anybody that would like to join this conversation. And the subject matter is pretty important when we're talking about the subject of consent. Now, before you decide to leave because you're super weird and you don't want to talk about consent for some odd reason, especially if you're above 18 years old, but I feel like this should be, universal as far as age is, rated E for everyone as far as a conversation we need to have when we're talking about the subject matter of consent. It goes so much deeper than people realize. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about consent. We're talking about establishing healthy boundaries, whether it's in your work relationships, your romantic relationships, your platonic relationships. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about consent in so many different ways. What's going on, brother Michelin? Good to see you, dog. If you'd like to join this conversation, King, let a brother know. I could easily if brother Joseph is so kind, I could easily just forward the link to you so you can join this here stream. But yeah, man, this is something that I've kind of wanted to I wanted to talk to people about. I feel like this is something that we just do not talk about. You know what I'm saying? We do not talk about, especially in the church, we do not talk about, boundaries. We don't talk about how to conduct yourself around your fellow kings, queens, and monarchs. We don't, monarchs for our non-binary folk, you know what I'm saying? We don't talk about how it is we're supposed to operate and occupy certain spaces and exist with other people, because this is not really a trade that people necessarily, it's not sexy. This is a very uncomfortable conversation, you know what I'm saying? Which is why not have it? You know what I'm saying? I would love to just open the screen. I would love to open the screen. Brother, if you don't see it in the comments in the chat, I could easily just forward it to you. Or Joseph, if my brother Joseph, this is why I need an intern or something, or I could just have a Joe. Joe's pretty cool. Joe's pretty solid too. Joe, if you could send this to brother Michelin, if you would like to join this here conversation, I think it'd be really good, dog. I did put it up in the Patreon, but I feel like it's you know what? I feel like this is just one of those conversations. It's we're gonna make the access to a conversation that didn't seem accessible more accessible. So Joe, if you could just, if you want to just send this to brother Michelin, he looks like he's fired up. I think that'd be really, really cool. But yeah, y'all, let's get into it. Let's just have this conversation. Let's have this conversation that is not had, and let's have this conversation that needs to be had, and it needs to be normalized, because I feel like we are not doing human well. We are not humaning well. I don't know if that's grammatically correct, but I said it, so deal with it, I would say. But yeah, y'all, I would love to just kind of engage people. So, I'm going to get, while it's kind of loading up, and while people up, oh man. So brother Michelin, brother Joseph said that you got the link. So if you want to, like I said, if you would like to join me on screen, I'm gonna let everybody pile in. Don't be too nervous. I'm not really like this isn't gonna be like one of those like sniping campaigns. This is just gonna be educational at the end of the day. I am looking to learn from people, hopefully teach some people at the end of the day. Let's get into those very uncomfortable conversations, because like Christ sent us to become uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Man in the mat. Saul going to Paul, being blind. Peter fishing on one side of the boat to another. Let's get uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Let's break out of our ways of conducting ourselves so we can be a better people. You know what I'm saying? I want to be a better person so I could be a better person to the other people I inhabit this very ghetto rock with. You know what I'm saying? So, Joe, I sent that link to you. Let's just kind of like send it. Let's just kind of get these links out there. If anybody else would like to join, I think this is going to be one of those like doozy conversations, personally, Joseph. And Joe, if you feel like showing up on camera, because you act like you ain't going to be a guest on here at some point, dog, you are, I would say that you don't really have a choice, but that's not true, because that's kind of like contradictory to like this subject matter, I guess. So, but yeah, man, I think we should get into it. I think this is something that we should definitely do. So while everybody's kind of getting themselves situated, working out them jitters, while everybody's kind of bracing themselves for this conversation because they have literally absolutely to no idea how this is going to go, I'm going to play a little video. You know what I'm saying? It's about 3 minutes long to kind of work your jitters out, but I'll see y'all in a little bit. What's goody, everybody? It's Kid Casper here. I'm a Christian raptivist. Yes, rapper / activist. I love Jesus. I am super far from a pacifist. You know what I'm saying? I am a clothing apparel owner of GhostThreads.com. Ghost Threads stands for God's Heart Only Swells Talent. One of the things that I like to curate with my clothing is I like to take a piece of me and put it into my clothing. So Ghost Threads is me. For instance, I have synesthesia. What does that mean? Basically, every time that I hear sound, I see colors. So I like to take these timestamps in which I see these illuminating illustrations that happen, whether it's hearing a sound, hearing a song. I like to apply that to my clothing so people are going to be able to see the very things that I see into my clothing. One of the things I like to do is help different creatives as they're in the process of building their content, whether it's music, video, helping what they do look good while they're doing it, establishing an aesthetic, whether it's making thumbnails, countdowns, editing videos, making trailers, intros, highlights. Their artistic fingerprint onto their social media helps them separate themselves from the bunch, taking pieces of them as far as like their niche and stuff and establishing an aesthetic from that. And I just want to help people build. If you're looking for somebody that is going to build with you to establish your artistic aesthetic that is grown out of your niche, somebody that is going to look at your content, listen to your content, and find a way to implement that into its display, your aesthetic, your fingerprint, your cranes in the sky, you're bad from Michael Jackson, you're blueprint 1, 2, or 3, no matter how many there is. That's what my focus and my team's focus is, to help people drive that across the finish line. If you want to do business together as far as commission request goes, hit us up on Tetelestai Incorporated. We have a Facebook and an Instagram page, and let's get to work. If you'd like to hear my thoughts on music, culture, politics, the social climate, providing my own social commentary, check out the Kid Casper podcast. I am your gracious, beautiful, blessed, beloved, and black host, you know what I'm saying? It's available where all podcasts are available. We're also on YouTube, where we shoot the podcast live. Also, just to be able to create a space where I can interview artists, creatives, entrepreneurs, activists, authors, your local mailman, you name it, to engage in dialogue with other people, or you just get to hear my thoughts. Thank you so much for listening and taking the time to engage me. Hopefully we can get some work done together. Hopefully we can get in some good trouble together at one point. And always remember, you are beautiful, blessed, and beloved. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I'm just gonna go out on a limb. And when I say go out on a limb, it's not really like a limb. It's more so just like, do we operate in the spirit of condemnation? I don't think we operate. I don't think it's a fruit of the spirit. So I'll just say this with like much conviction, and I'll say this with like the most judginess. Is that condemnation? That's guilt. Guilt and condemnation are cousins. Okay, maybe I shouldn't do that. Nobody accepted this invitation for some odd reason. I don't know why we don't want to have this very difficult conversation when it comes to the subject matter of consent. But I am so determined to have this conversation that if I need to, I will literally start doing my points myself. And if it starts to just resonate with people, and it kind of shakes the cobwebs off of people, you know what I'm saying? And it makes people feel, to some sense, if they're outraged, if they want to challenge, if they want to push back on some of my points, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Even if you just like, I don't know what you could be doing during this time on a Wednesday. A lot of people got stuff to do. I don't know. You probably tucking your kids in, wiping the crust out your eyes. I don't really know. I'm just gonna start it off, and if hopefully this is resonating with some people and people are able to get something out of it, so I'm just gonna kind of kick this off. So what I want to do is just start off with, what is the definition of consent? You know what I'm saying? So by definition, what consent is, definition is permission for something to happen or an agreement to do something. To give permission for something to happen, or, you know, there's four and there's a couple of like different examples of like what that is. So 4 different types of versions, or if you want to say types of consent. There's implied consent. You know, participation in a certain situation is sometimes considered proof of consent. Explicit consent, active consent, passive consent, opt-out consent. You know, these are things that, like, I would say, like, people tend to like operate out of, but don't necessarily know the difference between all of these, and don't necessarily, they're not really picking up on a lot of these things, but it's still consent nonetheless. You know what I'm saying? So let me see if I can, what is going on over here? Okay, cool. But it's still consent nonetheless. So when we're talking about consent, and why I titled this episode Consensual Conduction, it's kind of play on words to that old Snoop Dogg song. It's not really old. It's not old to me because it was 2007. I'm 28 years old. But it's a play on words to the Snoop Dogg song Sensual Seduction. You know what I'm saying? Which was kind of a vibe, but anyway, I don't know why I don't think I should have been listening to that song necessarily in 7th grade, but here we are now. I don't know. But yeah, yo, I wanted to kind of talk about like the different types of consent, and then kind of use examples of like where these certain moments kind of pop up in our lives, the importance of consent, in areas outside of the ones that we normally think and challenge our biases, and what we can get out of it. So informed consent, you know what I'm saying? Informed consent is the act of obtaining consent after informing the individual of all possible outcomes and consequences of granting consent. To be informed consent must be given by persons who are competent to consent, have voluntarily consented, or fully informed about the research and have comprehended what they have been told. You know what I'm saying? So basically like when we're talking about like, if we're talking about like outcomes and consequences of, you know, knowing your options, knowing the cause and effect, and knowing where things can be bad, you know what I'm saying? Not withholding and hiding anything from certain individuals or just individuals together, and giving somebody the whole picture to what can happen, what will happen, what might happen, and knowing the different options in between and allowing them to come up with their own choice. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about omitting, you know, people that, you know, omit the truth and leave out certain details to possibly sway somebody into wanting to side with a certain direction, to lean towards a certain category, or to just kind of, you know, basically there's a lot of times, and a lot of us do this when we have friends. We'll be like, hey, they'd be like, hey, can you say you agree, right? And like you don't really hear anything. You're like, huh? They'd be like, yeah, just say yes. You know, just agree. Just say yes. And be like, and if you know me, I'm like, bruh, I'm not giving my yes to anything. I don't know what I'm giving my yes to. You know what I'm saying? It's basically the same thing, but we're talking about like, there's so many times that we are, you know, especially when it comes to like friends, people don't necessarily understand how that could work out. Like, I'm gonna start with friends, go to work, and then go to romantic. You know what I'm saying? So friends, platonically, like not allowing somebody to know the bigger picture, the consequences of every option that they have, is not really giving somebody their choice. When you withhold and omit certain things from people, it's not really giving them a full choice, because you can't really align yourself with something, and I mean fully subscribe to something that you didn't really necessarily understand in totality. Now, it's a little different when it comes to, it's a little different when we're talking about like a spirituality, I would say, because like you're stepping into it and you're consenting to learning. You know what I'm saying? You're consenting to educate yourself, and you're consenting to be educated. But when we're talking about like, certain activities, meals. Yes, I said meals, like eating certain things. You know what I'm saying? If you're talking about going to certain places at a certain time, knowing everything that could be surrounded, influencing, manipulating, all that is important when it comes to involving other people. Because if you don't let them know, especially like on a friendship level, all that they're getting themselves into, then you kind of took their choice away, and it kind of makes it creates this weird atmosphere of not, I would say like you're not creating a safe space off rip, because you're not allowing somebody to know how they could be in danger, or better yet, you could be possibly telling a person or dressing something and guising something that makes you feel comfortable with what you may think to be safe, but might be dangerous to somebody else. You know, a quote I like to use all the time. What scuffed my sneaks would have torn your Achilles. There's a lot of things that people have been through that we don't even know nothing about, and you could run the risk of triggering somebody by not even letting them know what they could be getting themselves into. You know what I'm saying? So friendship wise, it could be as simple as like planning a vacation. Say if you guys are doing like a vacation or something like that, or planning a day on this vacation and signing people up for certain activities. You could be signing somebody up for an activity to go swim. People may not even know how to swim. You could be signing people up to eat certain foods. Somebody might be allergic to this food. Somebody just may not like this food. Somebody might be having a diet or a lifestyle change in which that they are not indulging or eating or engaging certain food groups. You know what I'm saying? All these things need to be included and to be given to somebody to make their choice, not have their choice made for them. You know what I'm saying? And then if they don't want to engage these things, if they do indeed have these things introduced to them, they should have the right, and without any sense of judgment or condemnation or coercion, when they give their yes is their yes, and their no is their no, without any sense of like perversion from the other participating parties that are trying to engage with them in this activity. You know what I'm saying? And we see that so many times with friends all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, we're gonna eat here, pick this whole day out, we're eating here, and then like, bro, you signed me up to go to a restaurant I can't afford to go to. I got a brother that's watching right now. I don't know how he might feel about me talking about this, but I got a brother that's watching right now. Like, you know, we kind of just sometimes we just kind of freestyle things when we go out, and you know, my brother's a little younger than us, than the rest of his siblings that go to our church, and like we went to a spot that, you know, he couldn't get into because he was younger than the rest of us. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that not only should be important, stuff like that should also be important to look into before like we engage, simply because one, we don't want to put somebody in a position where they kind of have to scramble and they have to figure out if they are comfortable, you know, kind of going into the spot. But then you have to kind of think to yourself, oh, now I got to think to myself if this is going to be beneficial or if this person is going to be able to engage without feeling left out. Oh, we got somebody. Oh, and he popped up on camera. Okay. And dog popped up on camera. First off, how you doing, black man? How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing really amazing.
That's what's up. So, I'm sitting there, you know, I'm kind of trying to break down the importance of this this art of consent, you know what I'm saying? And I thought that, you know, and I started using you as an example, but I wanted to kind of like, you know, break down like this moment for you and see if like maybe you can kind of pick up and maybe even further explain what I'm talking about here. But I'm talking about like how consent is important even in friendships, when you're even just establishing like plans or doing like social events like that, because something can happen in which that somebody is in an uncomfortable position, and somebody's SOL. So the example in which I was using was, I know you might remember this, but like we went out after game night, right? Yeah. And like, you know, you're a little wet behind the ears, you know what I'm saying? You're a little younger than the rest of us, you know what I'm saying? And you know, you couldn't get into the spot that we all decided to go to, you know what I'm saying? And you end up having to literally stay in my car for like what, like an hour and a half, if I'm not mistaken. And
it was a long time.
It was a long behind time, you know what I'm saying? And I was trying to, you know, I'm trying to explain, but hopefully you can explain on a first person point of view. I was saying like, you know, even in that instance, we dropped the ball because we kind of just like came up with these plans, and all kind of co-signed with these plans to make something happen and to jump into something, one, thinking and considering like how it was for like the majority, but then we easily glossed over how it might affect the minority, in this case somebody that's a lot younger than us, you know what I'm saying? So I was wondering if you had any thoughts about that. And also, this is your first time on the Kid Casper podcast, you know what I'm saying? So like if you could give like a quick little elevator's pitch to who you is, and then like answer my question, I think that'd be super, super great. So like tell the world, and back the camera up so we can see your big, beautiful face, you know what I'm saying? So
So and I run a podcast. How I started that was I went through some spiritual things with my pastor, and I just had to back away. And I figured going through that, I recently reconnected with community. That's how I met Casper, and I got connected with his content. But I figured that, I don't want that to happen to another human being, what I went through. So I started this journey. I started literally the name J Poetics came 4 months ago. The JXW podcast came 4 months ago. And it took me a minute to like start this up, but I realized my purpose, and I realized who I am. I'm also a poet. I've been writing poetry since I was 15 years old, through traumatic experiences, through all that I've been through. I just had to jot it down. And yeah, so to answer, that's like a little pitch on myself. If you want to get more connected with me, JXW podcast. But to answer that question, speaking about that experience, the front half, it was amazing. The front half was amazing. The actual event that we was going to was absolutely phenomenal. And that, I guess this is where the consent conversation gets a little hazy, because yes, we do say yes to events and things that we agree with, but then the line gets a little washed away when time just goes on. And now more questions are now, people are putting our original yes on to more things that we didn't say yes to, right? So the original agreement, the original situation that I was a part of, that was a yes, that was my yes. But as that agreement ended, my yes, in some twisted fantasy, extended into more yeses, and I guess that's where the problem is. And the environment of that experience was, yes, I am 20 years old and I am below 21, so there was a situation where people wanted to go places after a little quote unquote after party or whatever you want to have, and I was below that age. Now, me personally, I'm a homebody. I don't like going out. Like, I'm an introvert. I don't like people. But I guess they wanted to do something good for the people at the same time, but also my yes didn't extend that far. And that's where I think the line in the sand is kind of like wishy-washy, I say. So that's what I can say, at least for that.
But yeah, man, I think like, and the reason I brought that up is because like sometimes, like especially just as like friends, like it's so easy, and you know me, like anytime like we about to get up or something, or we about to get up and do something, I'm so quick to be like, okay, what we doing? How many heads are gonna be there? They're like, well, why do you need to know? I'm like, why not? Like, why not know how many people gonna be there? Who's gonna be there? What are we gonna be doing? How long are we gonna be doing it? Where are we gonna be doing it at? All that's important, because like I don't want to end up in a position where I'm SOL, meaning like, something happens in which that like my safety physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually is compromised, or better yet, like somebody like you, where it's like you said yes to like wanting to engage, to break bread with your brothers and sisters and everything like that, but then you found yourself in a position where you're literally on the outside. You know what I'm saying? You outside, you I'm not comparing you to Lucifer, but like you outside the gates. You like, hey, what
Hey.
what happened, shorty? Like, I thought we was good. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I, that bothered me because I just sat here. I was like, on the outside, I'm in the inside looking out. I'm like, I mean, he said he was all right, but at the same time, it's just like, bruh, nobody would willingly just say, I'm just going to sit in somebody's car when I meant to be social, you know what I'm saying? And that's okay. And like, I was telling people, like, you have to do, the reason that I bring that example up is like, you have to do your due diligence when you're inviting people into certain spaces, because you don't want, in which that not only is somebody's safety compromised, but somebody might get their sights set. In your case, like, you're a very introverted person. Like, I know you to like not want to leave the house unless it's like Sunday and it's church, but you putting yourself out there in a space and in which that it didn't necessarily go as planned, like, that could have been very damaging for you. That could have been very damaging for you, not only mentally, emotionally, but even spiritually. Like, that could have jacked your faith up. It's like, this is why I don't like church. This is why I don't like church folk. I done put myself out there, and these niggas got me sitting in my man's car. Like, it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, it could have got like that though. And I don't think, like, it's never. I always tell people, like, you can never. It's kind of like driving. I don't know if you drive yet, but you can never overuse a turn signal. You could definitely underuse one though. You know what I'm saying? You can never be overly diligent, but you could definitely be under diligent. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't know what your thoughts were on that though, dog.
Well, I feel as though people just need to make sure that people are comfortable. And I think that's the over-encompassing thing I can say for this whole conversation. I get it. There's a lot of people that we want to accommodate. There's a lot of people that we want to like have quote unquote fun with and in different space. And yes, again, I'm a very introverted person. I don't like going look. But at the same time, I do want to have fun. I do want to experience life. I do want to be out there like right now. Like, I do want to join you in conversations, but at the same time, it's kind of like we have to make sure everyone is comfortable. We have to make sure everyone is not only heard, seen, visible, and some people who I can't really say for myself because I have a voice and I share this on my podcast a lot. I vocalize myself. My no is my no, my yes is my yes, and I try to stand by that. But some people are kind of hidden in the sand with their no's and their yeses, or with their maybes or their whatevers. And it's just recognizing those people and being like, okay, we're in a group of a lot of people, but I recognize the fact that such and such, so and so, they might want to go home, or they might want to go to this other place, and hey, let's take a vote on this other place that maybe might be more inviting for all other people. But I just feel as though we all need to make sure we're comfortable. We all need to make sure that we're seen, we're heard, and really just have fun. That at the end of the day, just have fun, but don't push it. Don't push it.
And also, it's like, I never like to think of myself, like, I'm always looking at myself as an individual and not get caught up in groupthink. Like, though, like, we could take things to a vote and stuff, it's like, like, you don't have to exclude people that you're trying to include at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like that can really cause an issue. And then on top of that, just because it's the majority don't mean we gotta do it either. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying, like, because there's some people, like, for instance, and I'll give an example about one of my friends, or I'll just use me. So me, right? I like roller coasters. I am not afraid of heights. I'm 6'3". It doesn't make sense to be afraid of heights. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to Six Flags in October during Fright Fest because people like to jump up and scare people. And I got trauma in my life, and I like to swing. Like I told people, like, try Jesus, not me. And somebody jumps out the blue, and they end up getting, like, I don't know. They end up getting what Shorty got in like the book of Acts when she came up knuck if you could buck in the name of Jesus because she thought that she was gonna, impress Paul. Like, I'm going over into like some dirty dishes, and I'm not gonna have everybody look at me like, why would you do that? It's like because they surprised me. Like, and you might like jump scares, and you might like somebody engage in your personal space, but that doesn't necessarily fit the same scale for me. You know what I'm saying? And I think like it could. And we have to also learn that it's okay to change the 99's plans for the one because I serve a God that makes that accommodation. You know what I'm saying? So that's okay. You know what I'm saying? And we don't got to be afraid of that. But let me carry on when we talk about this, especially informed consent. And I'm gonna take this to the workplace and see if this kind of shows up. And this is where I wish like the church would do better at, but I'll allow your imagination to play with you, Joseph, while I kind of get into this. So when we're talking about informed consent, and I'll read this again. Informed consent is the act of obtaining consent after informing the individual of all the possible outcomes and consequences of granting consent. To be informed consent must be given by persons who are competent to consent, have voluntarily consented, are fully informed about the research, and have comprehended to what they have been told. Joseph, we serve an institution. I say an institution. It has nothing to do with union. Union, you're all right. Love the black people in there. Y'all good up in there. Like y'all doing the right thing. The beautiful black folk in Union Church. You know what I'm saying? However, in church, we see all the time where I use this terminology, and I know this is gonna make you laugh. You get voluntold to do something. You know what I'm saying? And when I say voluntold, like there's this like weird like obligation that like is put on people, especially on like the volunteer clerical space, whether when you're like serving, even in like missionary work and stuff, where you're doing like certain acts of service, but you don't really know what you're signing yourself up for. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm just joking. Nobody's asked me. Actually, they have, and I flat out said no because I'm not doing it. But I'm not a friendly person, right? I'm just not. I don't think I'm a friendly person. I don't know how this young man decided to be friends with me, but he's here now. They asked me flat out. They was like, hey, would you like to be a greeter? I'm like, what does that mean? Because I just said hi to you this morning. I greeted you already. But what does that mean? What does that mean? You know what I'm saying? And they were like, well, a greeter is, X, Y, and Z. You have to do this. It involves doing this. You do stuff like this and this, that, and the third. And I heard everything that in which that entailed. And then I, politely said no. That was it. That is not the case all the time in churchy spaces. Reason is because there's so many times in which that we will not only like we try to spiritually convict people to serve, but we end up misleading them to give their yes to something that they know good and well they probably say no to if they knew all that they was going to be having to do. I didn't grow up in the church. Sir Joseph grew up in the church. Sir J Poetics grew up in the church. Do you have an example of that, my good brother, in which of what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying?
Unfortunately, I have my entire life as an example. Because me being in church spaces, it's not even that I was in church spaces. I literally grew up in the church, and when you have a perception of growing up in the church, you think, oh, you went to one church for like 20 years. No, my father is a music teacher. He is a minister. And we literally, from like 1 year old to me being 20, I've been a part of at least, I'd say 30 to 45 congregations. And it's not to the point where we helped them for like one Sunday and then left. It's like, no, we've spent years. So all throughout my life, I have so many different prescriptions or perceptions of what a church is and different systems of how different pastors decide to lead and do and whatever they do. So I can answer that question so profoundly because I grew up in the church as a drummer, right? I was drumming for 10 years. I ended that last year when I moved to my new spiritual community. But I've recognized that me being a drummer, I was asked to do a lot more things than I really first wanted to. Obviously, I'm going to perform my profession. That's what I am going to do. I'm going to keep it professional. With my father's ministry, that's what we do. So I'm going to lend my yes to playing drums. I did not lend my yes to doing X, Y, and Z. And this is even less like serving. It goes deeper. It's like church people expect you to do more spiritual things, and that sounds good, and that's the reason why they can get it off, because it sounds morally, the moral compass, it sounds amazing. Like, we want you to pray for this amount of time, we want you to do this for this amount of time. We It sounds amazing at first, but at the very end, it's very twisted, and they get you to do what they want you to do spiritually. And there's been multiple times where I've been asked to pray, but then someone would say, pray this way or pray that way, or your prayers are too small, or your prayers are they need to include this amount of words, or da 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 da. Or they'll say, um if we're doing something according to the Bible and according to the right word of God, truthfully, according to God's word, they'll say it's my way or the highway. And I'm like, I lended my yes to being a servant of God. I did not lend my yes to being a servant of you, you know? So I've seen in the church where our yeses could get exploited into doing other things. And I kind of want to be a little PG-13 with my answer and kind of like not divulge anymore, because I'm, weirdly enough, I'm currently still in this where I just left my previous community. So I want to be sensitive and say I forgive all those people and I've moved on, and I don't want to bring up the past. And through Jesus Christ, hey, they will be healed, they'll change their ways, they'll change that system. But you have to recognize that it happens through life. It's a thing. And it's a thing that's not promoting Jesus Christ for unbelievers who don't know Jesus Christ. And I believe that that should be changed.
I think another thing too, is like, how do I say this delicately? Is like, also like, okay, so like, this works two ways when we're talking about like work, especially like spiritually, because sometimes it is work to be spiritual and serve other people. So I'll say this in two ways: the person who is receiving and requesting. You know what I'm saying? So those that are doing the work and those that are receiving the work. So like, Joe, if I don't know, Joe, if like, so brother, if I'm like, hey, I need you to come over and say, if I'm just being lazy or something, like, Joe, I need you to, I can't even think, hey Joe, I need you to help me move this couch. All right, I need you to help me move this couch. Okay, cool, that's fine, brother. And like that, yeah, that's all I need you to do. That's the words I use. That's all I need you to do. But then when you get here, and I got not only this couch I need you to move, I need you to help me move this TV. I need you to help me hang this TV up. I need you to help me put this desk together. I need you to help me move the table. I need you to help me take my old bed frame out. I need you to help me put the new bed frames up in the kids' room. Also, I got trash. Can you help me take the trash out? Like, you know what I'm saying? But the problem is though, is like I'm opening this up with that's all I need you to do. Now, it does happen where it's just like, you know what? I'm going to ask for more, and that's fine. That's not where the consent problem is. The problem is, though, is like you might have coordinated your whole afternoon. Yeah. You might have coordinated your whole afternoon to... This is all I'm asking you to do. And that's... You thinking, oh, it's only going to take like 5 minutes. Like 5 minutes if I have to go use your bathroom to take a piss. But then like you added your whole like spring cleaning list to my afternoon. I ain't consent to that. I didn't adjust my plans to that. So now I'm putting you in this awkward position where it's just like you feel uncomfortable and guilty saying no. So then what probably are you going to do? You're probably going to say yes, and you're going to feel weird about it. And then it's like, I shouldn't have put you in that position to you giving me a yes that even you yourself don't feel good about. You know what I'm saying? And that happens so many times, not only in like church spaces, but then in workspaces. Like work meaning like, hey, if you come in early tomorrow, this is all you got to do. Hey, if you come in tomorrow, I just need you to dust. But then like you need me to dust, clean the toilets, mop, change the floors out. Like, whoa, hold up. Like you changed the floor. I know you've been putting floors in, but recently. Yeah. But like, you know what I'm saying? So that mopping the floor and changing the floors are two different, you know what I'm saying? Like it could be funny like that, but like the thing is that people don't realize it's like it could be, you know, we serve a God that says you have to be faithful in the little things. It's never too small to give somebody and have somebody have the right to consent to everything and knowing all that they are informed to consenting to. You know what I'm saying? So, and I don't think people recognize that. So then like when we're talking about, this might get graphic. I said I was going to do platonic work and, you know, like churchy or like, you know what I'm saying, organization, whatever, and then romantic. But then, like, when we're talking about informed consent, where we're talking about romantic relationships, look, dog, look, bruh, if you told me we was just, I'm gonna tread lightly. If I was told I was coming over to watch Netflix and you
no, it's never
look, some people are okay. If I was told we was only gonna watch Netflix and you had an ulterior motive, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying this just because I'm the man and like there's a woman like trying to like seduce me or anything like that. It could be go either or. But like if you put it out there that this is all that's going to happen, and it could be romantically too. And in which that like, or better yet, like if I'm asking you for something and you as my partner, like I'm asking you for a hug. I hate to say it just like this, but that wasn't your time to try to grab some cheeks. Like that's just like that's not what you're supposed to be here for. You know what I'm saying? I'm just getting, look, I'm sorry. Like I'm gonna go graciously and say, you know, I asked you for a hug. I ain't really asked you for all of that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Or as a very, very common situation, people don't really think about this too. But like, you know, when we're talking about informed consent, and like, I don't know if I told you about this, Joe, but like, you know, me and my partner just talked about this recently. And this can show up in any way, but I'm just going to use romantic specifically. But brother, you know what's been going on in my life recently. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I just told you that you need to ask for consent in, you know, physically with your romantic partner, right? Right. Mm-hmm. Did you know that you need to ask consent to talk to whoever you're in a relationship with? No, I'm dead. I'm dead. No. I'm dead serious. Did you know that you need to ask consent for who you are talking to that you were talking to like your partner, and like not only like when we're talking about informed consent, but not only like to talk to them, what you are talking to them about, the nature of that conversation as well. Okay, so I'm gonna use an example for me, right? You know, I've had a lot going on. I've been public about like what I've got going on, right? There was one day I had a lot going on, and I didn't. I'm just gonna be transparent. Like, I did not tell my partner like the nature of like what I was going to talk to her about and my stressors and stuff. The problem with that is that sometimes even romantically, people don't realize that even if you not getting consent to vent can be very damaging considering who you are venting to, because what you may be venting about could be emotionally draining. They don't have the emotional bandwidth to receive what you are trying to you're trying to like convey to them. They it could be triggering, so you could end up causing some damage within them, though you didn't even know about it. You know what I'm saying? And
Okay, I think I have a better understanding of what you're talking about.
yeah. And it happens so often where it's just like it happens not only with like romantic, it can be like friends too. Sometimes, bruh, I asked you how you was doing, but man, I did not need to know. Look, man. Sometimes, I mean, I'm just being real with you, brother. Sometimes, and I gotta catch myself even with y'all too. Like, sometimes, just because this your circle and this your corner, don't mean you can just go and pull out the tractor trailer and just dump whatever you gotta dump on people, because you might end up burying somebody in your dump and what you gotta dump, or better yet, what you might dump on them or you might bring to them, and they don't know what they about to receive. It can cause damage to them, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like my partner was, shorty was exhausted. She was like, I'm ready to go to bed after hearing what you just had to say. You know what I'm saying? Like emotionally was gassed, like was just out of it, dog. And like people don't think, even in cases like that, where it's just like, bro, you even need consent to vent. You need to tell me what you were going to be talking about, the nature of what you're going to be talking about. Where are you at while you're conveying this information to me? Because if you're not in a very good, sensible place, how do I know that you are going to be able to convey this in a sensible manner that's not going to trigger me? You know what I'm saying? All of that is important. You know what I'm saying? And people think just because you in a romantic... Yeah. Go ahead. You got something for me, dog?
I feel as though that it's probably the best and quickest way to get yourself into a heated argument when the person that you're talking to doesn't understand what you're talking about. And if someone says, hi, how are you? They're looking for either two responses. The fake response the industry response that we give everyone, oh, I'm good, then go about your day. Or they're looking for the honest response. Hey, I am good. I'm this. I'm that. And then that will further into a better conversation. But the person asking, "Hi, how are you?" They're expecting a limited view of those two answers. They're not asking for your stock of depression that happened last night. Now, if it is a person of like a spiritual person where that person wants to help you and they are trained, they are conditioned, they a therapist, someone that can actually be equipped with that knowledge at any drop of a dime to do that for you, then that's besides the point. But if it's just a regular ordinary person who's not prepared for that moment, that could be very confusing to understand what's going on. For the person who originally asked how are you, and you're dumping all this stress and trauma and all this on them, it could get convoluted in like, first of all, how am I supposed to help this person? Second of all, what am I supposed to say? Because I'd never went through this or I'd never experienced this. And then when you finally get up to answer, now you say something that triggers them. You know, you say something because you never understood the situation in the first place. You say something that inadvertently ticks them off. and then they say something else in rebuttal to that, and now it's just now an endless argument of, I originally was not prepared for this conversation, so I said something stupid, and it propelled you into a motion where I didn't intend for you to go. And I could say I'm sorry, but now if I say I'm sorry, then you take that as not me being honest. I'm honestly sorry, but, and it's just a whole, it's a whole cycle of, if you're going to have a moment of frustration, if you know you're about to have a moment of outbreak, don't come up to somebody on a different type of energy. Like, I believe that if you know you want to rant, if you know you want to punch a hole in the wall, address somebody with that same energy. I'm not saying cuss them out when you first see them. I'm saying, like, make sure that intention of conversation is known before you even start, you know? And so we don't have any confusion about what we're talking about. Like, if you come up to me and say, "Hey, I need to talk to you about this, that, and the third," now I can get a mental picture of, okay, he's going to talk about this. He's going to switch topics to that. And now I have a mental picture of how I can traverse this conversation. Like, originally, even with this talk right here, I didn't originally know what we were going to talk about, you know? But then I kind of uh, noticed the subject matter, and I was like, oh, I have some points about that. You originally talked about, the experience I had, and I can rebuttal with, I can say something about that. So I just feel as though we should come with the intentionality of our conversation and not just blurt it out in the system and hope to goodness whoever picks it up, because whoever picks it up, they might not know what to do with it. It's a hot potato. It really is.
And not even that, I think, like, it's just also irresponsible to the person you are venting to too, because like I'll say it like this. This can land a little wrong, but however, it's like, okay. Okay. So, no, hear me out. No, hear me. It's like the equivalency to, like, if you, like, I use this analogy on a podcast. I did a podcast like late last year about this. Like, I had a situation in which that somebody vented to me about their frustrations with, like, something with their family, right? And the situation was, like, it touched on an area in which that was very traumatic to me, right? I felt myself drowning. You know what I'm saying? I felt myself drowning just listening to somebody drop this on me. You know what I'm saying? And, like, when I explained it to, like, other people, they're like, what's the big deal? Like, you literally talk and listen for a living, because I do this and I do activism and I rap and I have to listen to people talk all the time. But that's not the point. The point is, it's like sometimes you can try to catch somebody and you are not equipped to catch that person. Or you are not conditioned. You could be as spiritual, you could be as saved as you want to be saved. You could be as, you know what I'm saying? You could be as saved as you want to be saved. You could be as saved as you want to be saved for as long as you've been saved. But if you ain't conditioned to receive somebody, I don't know about you, baby boy, but, like, try to lift weights when you ain't work out in a minute, you gonna drop that mug, you know what I'm saying? And you might end up cutting your head off in the process. Like, that's important though, because a lot of times, like, we try to receive somebody and we're not conditioned to receive them either. You know what I'm saying? So then we drop them, and then we end up hurting ourselves in the process. So you got to protect that person too, who you were trying to receive, and you got to protect yourself too, because then we got two casualties. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta, that's why, like, I say, like, the consent thing is important, because one, consent involves you, especially when we're talking about informed consent, because it allows you to take inventory to all the good, bad, ugly, and indifferent to all you're about to possibly engage. You know what I'm saying? And I serve a God that I can't see. You know what I'm saying? That's enough anonymity for me. I'm good. Everything else, I need some sense when I'm talking to people and I'm giving my yes to. You know what I'm saying? I can give even God, though I don't got all the answers, I still got to consent to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if even God gives me a choice, then y'all got to not only give me a choice and let me know. You know what I'm saying? God's like, you might get beheaded. You might become a martyr. You might have to deal with more persecution you've ever. Like, he lets that know up front. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got to give me that same energy or you got to bounce. I'm sorry. Like, that's just me. Any thoughts on that, Sir Sir Joseph?
Well, well, this might be a little surface level, just pertaining to the depth of this conversation. But even yesterday, and I texted you about this earlier. Yesterday, I was involved in a broadcast with an artist, and a fan came, and I was on the broadcast. I was featured on the broadcast, and a fan came up. He was in his late 20s. He came up on the mic, came up on the screen, and he didn't really get the context of conversation we were in. His yes extended to the fact that he wanted to be on a broadcast with his favorite artists and ask them questions, ask the testimony, just be on the broadcast, just for keepsakes. Um, but he didn't get the context of the conversation. The conversation we were having is we were just joking around. Like, I'm 20 years old, the artist is 20 years old, the people in the comments, we're just having a ball. We're talking about life, we're talking about music, we're talking about our day, we're talking about how just the jokes we can bring up in this moment, right? So the person asked for the testimony, like, hey, I'm not gonna say the artist name, but hey, so and so, how did you come to God? How did you come to faith? I love this song. He specifically brought up a song. I love this song, blankety blank. Through that song, how did you see Jesus? And that testimony question is not fitting the context of where we are. So the artist just like brushes it off, like goes on with what we are, the current state of what we're talking about, and she, the person, um really messes around with that. And it was all fun and games, and we really enjoyed it. But on the back end, and this is where this kind of gets a little muddy, he got angry. He got frustrated. He genuinely wanted to know the testimony. He genuinely wanted to engage with this artist, and he didn't say yes to the correct context of what we were in the setting of. He was in a different perspective of this occasion, which is weird. He was in a totally different mindscape of what we were doing, and we were complete. It's like he was on Jupiter and we were on Texas, Earth. We were in Texas, he was on Jupiter, right? So he tried to treat this like
Texas. You
yeah.
know,
Look,
where white people are made, you pick Texas. Like, it just. Anyway, go ahead. Like,
but he tried to treat this like an interview run, and I'm like, first of all, we're messing around. So, and he is a Christian, and he proclaimed Jesus, and he started cussing at us. He started cussing at us. He started being a little flagrant, and then we.
I ain't getting
This is
cussed at
not
for
the end.
free. I'm not getting cussed
Yeah,
at for
no, no,
free.
no, no. No, 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 no. And the artists had the same exact sentiment that you have right now. They were not having that. The artists started to get a little like perturbed. And I'm like, me too. I'm like, this is not the vibe. And at the same time he was cussing, he was using the F word, he was using the B word, he was using every word in the book. At the same time that he was cussing and getting mad that he didn't get what he wanted or deserved or felt that he deserved, he started talking about the Bible. And I'm like, no, 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 no. You're not going to sit here and preach about Jesus when you're over here condemning and judging us for not um going into your twisted fantasy for some odd reason. Like, this is not what's about to happen. So I think in just the scope of that, it's like many people, they put themselves in scenarios where it's not the correct scenario that the reality is having. It's like people literally put themselves in a false sense of reality to get what they want, but it's not connected to what everyone else is on. And I think that's also another branch of the conversation. It's like other people just, they're out there and they're not in scope of what's going on currently.
Yeah, man, and I think like another thing that's dangerous about that is like it if you want to call it, I'll just call it arrogance. Like it's a sense of it's a sense of arrogance that like you can kind of operate and also think that you have an idea where somebody else is and just assuming where somebody else is in their head. Hey, look, bro, I just told you earlier, like just because I'm like, hey, this is my partner. That's short. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Like I can say whatever I want to and everything's fine. And then it's like, but that's the problem with like assumptions. Make an ass out of you and me. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we may like automatically assume in our arrogance and our cockiness that somebody is prepared to receive us or engage us or interact with us in a certain way that they may not be equipped, may not be prepared, and just not have a desire to. And that's okay. Like, and we can get bent out of shape. I was a little bent out of shape. I was like, really? You gonna do me like that after I just kind of poured all that, I poured my heart out, and you gonna do me like? But that's real though. Like that, it happens so often. For sure. Up there's got my boy X in here. You know what I'm saying? But this is another example that I don't think people understand how often this happens, and I want to break down and use the same format as I did before when we're talking about consent. So this example is called opt-out consent. Opt-out consent, and I'm good for this. You understand me? Joe, my boy knows me so well. How many times have you gone, hey, are you coming on Sunday? Do I ever leave you in the dark, boy? Do I ever leave you in the dark, ever? Do I ever make you guess what I'm doing, ever? Like, no. Nah. I will be like, look, I plan on it. It would be nice. But then something can come up, and guess what? I'm not doing it. So, opt-out consent. Let me break this down for y'all. Opt-out consent is the ability to decline consent at any point. I'm saying it again. Opt-out consent is the ability to decline consent at any point. For example, you visit a website that clearly gives you option to decline your consent. If the consumer proceeds further without clearly declining the consent is granted. This type of consent is usually done in writing. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Let me, where'd it go? I had it. This is getting good. I had it in my notes. Many organizational websites incorporate opt-out consent to use your personal information for other purposes. Businesses tend to favor opt-out consent because it requires an action to be taken by the customers in order to stop marketing to them. Many individuals fail to read the text and permissions and are far more likely to give consent for purposes that would benefit an organization or benefiting party. How many of y'all, and I know y'all because I'm broke too. How many of y'all see that free trial? And I don't know about y'all, but I'm gonna read when that free trial ends because I need to know when I'm canceling that I need to know. I'm so serious. I need to know when I'm canceling that like, and I truthfully, you know what I'm saying? Because I ain't consent to my account being charged. I was told that this is free. This is free for 14 days. So guess how much is going to be free for me? I'm going to utilize these services for 14 days. But let me get serious real quick. So let me talk about friends, okay? I got a good example. Joseph, this is just an example. This hasn't happened, but Joseph. Okay. Joseph wants to use I don't know, my microphone. Joseph has a microphone. You know, he's a podcaster too. But Joseph wants to use my microphone. Something's wrong with his. I don't know what's wrong with his. It don't matter. It ain't none of my business. I told him, hey, you can hold this microphone till Friday. This is my microphone, right? I'm not this petty of a person. Like, I'm gonna go above and beyond to see how I could just get by without it. But I have every right to go and say, hey, Joe, actually, I changed my mind. That's what people don't understand, what like this part of opt-out consent is. I changed my mind. Instead of you can hold it till Friday, we get that you can get it till Wednesday, dog. You know what I'm saying? Take your time, dog. And another example of that, and it goes much deeper than that, but like, this sounds okay. So on a friendship level, okay, so opt-out consent can mean a lot of things when we're talking about how you interact with your friends. Like certain jokes that are not, that you might have given clearance for an individual to use, that can only be funny for so long. You know what I'm saying? Like certain things that you gave clearance to as far as jokes to be used and utilized, they might be funny for so long, but it comes a point when somebody's like, yeah, don't joke about that anymore. That ain't funny no more. You have been.
I just jumped in.
Now you're good. Now you're good. Now you're good. Now you're good, B. But
I want to say something. I want to say something, right?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I didn't get the context because I was gone for a couple seconds, but just that is. Jokes are funny. They are. But sometimes they go too far. And I guess what you're getting at is, you can correct me if I'm wrong. We gave our yes to like being goofy and being sporadic and having a good time. But there are certain topics that when you cross that line, you're not coming back. You're just not.
It's not even so much that, but it's just like, bruh, like, okay. So when I was younger, right? Now you could joke about it. Now you can. But I was younger. If you joked about this, like I'm having you I'm shaving your face with the sidewalk. Anyway, but like my nose, I used to hate my nose when I was younger. You could not joke with my nose and say something about my nose without me feeling insecure. You joke about my nose, we fighting. You know what I'm saying? Off point blank period. You say something about it now, I don't really care. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have I don't have like a thin skin to it. That's fine. But roles reverse. Somebody joke about something like, I don't know, like say if like my finances is funny right now. They just is. Whatever. But like you could joke, I'm joking about my finances and you're joking about it. We're laughing about it together. But then what if something bad happens in my life and finances are impacted? It was funny to a point. You know what I'm saying? It gets to a point where I am allowed to say, okay, that ain't funny anymore. It ain't funny to joke about anymore. And then when people be, yes, or just better yet, like, dude, I changed my mind. I don't want you to joke about this anymore. You just, no. Like, it's not, I don't. Or, friend on a friendship level, like I ain't never had this issue with you, but I've had this issue with boys in the past. But like, I don't know, like, bruh, once again, I'll use finances again. But bruh, you come over my house, bruh, don't just go up in my pantry or in my fridge and just start eating my food. Like, what are you doing? Oh man, and then they always hit you with the, oh well, you didn't have a problem before. Nigga, like, money is tight now. Like, or better yet, I don't even have to give you a reason. That's another thing. This is important too. You can say no, and no is a complete sentence. That's it. Like, I told you no. That's it. I don't have to justify why I changed my mind or why I opted out of giving consent in this area. I said no. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Hold on to that. But I think, like, sometimes, like, people get caught up in patterns with people, and there's a sense of, like, entitlement that's built up over time. So then when you shift gears, they're all like, well, why are you acting like this? Like, it was cool about a week ago. It's not anymore. And you have to be okay with that, because I have to be okay with it not being cool anymore. So if I have to be okay with not it being cool anymore, then so do you. I don't know if you got anything from me on that.
Yeah, I think it's just that identifies the trueness of friendships. Just identifying the people who are really with you or who are not really with you. Because somebody who's with you, they're going to learn you in a sense. I'm not saying that they're going to be creepy about it. They're going to like, they're going to know everything that you like, don't like, that you're dealing with, or all the good things that you're going through. Really good friends, brothers, sisters, they'll know what areas to touch. They'll know, conversation wise, touch. They'll know what area not to go to. They'll know what you're dealing with. But people who are just, they call yourself friend, oh yeah, we're bros. We hang out together one time and that's it. They're not gonna know those parameters. They're not gonna know. They're the depth of our friendship is about the length of a TikTok, and that that kind of the it kind of gets a little swayed in the sand where I'm going through something hard. Like, I'm going through hard depression. And then you just, like, you don't really pay attention to that. Or I'm going through something big and then you feel like you have to be like, no, celebrate with me, or no, take care of me. Like, and I feel like friends who have a surface level understanding of us, they really don't know what to do with us. They don't, and me personally, this is why I keep my circle small, and being in I've been an online figure. Well, not like I'm popular, but I'm just saying that I've in my social development have been online for most of my life. Because I didn't have friends, I didn't have community, any of that. So, and my cat is like really annoying right now, but but I created a friendship with a brother um, who just understood me, who really got me, and we connected with each other. And Michelin knows who this person is. His name is Zay, and all throughout my life, this man was my older brother. And I saw his come up. I saw where he was going, and we stuck together. I got through him. I got him through that difficult conversation of the suicide word. He got me through it, and we've just been brothers. I can't say the same thing for the people who just followed my Instagram 3 days ago. I can't, and that's why I keep my circle small. It's like, yeah, I keep the same energy with everybody. I don't believe in making things awkward, but I will give you a notice of if you are in my circle for real or if you're just not. And so I never have a problem with this topic when boiling it down. I never have a problem with it because I've recognized the people who there's no lukewarm, I guess you can say, friends for me. You're either you're either hot and we're like brothers, or you look, you can stay with me if you want, but you're not in my circle.
I think, like, what I'm coming at, like, with this also is just that, like, people have the right to change. Like, I for instance, like, I'm 6'3", but I don't even know how tall my little brother is. But, like, okay, so I bust his balls a lot about, like, him being, like, vertically cut off.
5'3" is not that.
It's not that bad. It's not. But I joke with him. But like, here's the thing. I joke with him about that. Like, it's okay because we have that like understanding. This is okay. But if Joe decided that ain't funny no more. Like, if he happened to just be insecure about that and changed his mind and evolved into say, I actually don't like that. Can you actually stop? I have to stop. That's it.
Yeah.
And trying to like mitigate and like try to come on, Joe, you're just being too sensitive. Like, it's just no. Like, that's not cool. Like, for instance, I don't know if you saw this interview, brother, but I have a homie named Drew, or I call him, or his producer name is Ciano, right? I used to joke.
I remember.
Okay. So I used to jokingly say his tag wrong for like a year and some change, and like, I wasn't trying to make fun of him or anything, but like I jokingly used to say his like producer tag wrong all the time, right? And he said, you're the only person that calls me that, and like there was this understanding, and I was like that, like it was funny, at least to me too, and even to him. And then live on my podcast, I was like, bruh, he said, you're the only person that says like that. I said, yeah. I said, I'm gonna keep calling you that until you tell me not to. And then he flat out on the internet, he in 4K was like, all right, well then stop it. What other choice did I have? Like, I mean, yeah, I'm used to doing it. I'm used to like carrying myself this way with this man. I'm used to making jokes like this with this man. However, this man said stop. And then it's time to stop. You know what I'm saying? That point blank period. Like, and I think sometimes because we get so comfortable with people that we think that people become a culture, and a culture is not allowed to change. And that's where a problem is with a lot of people, is that we make that mistake a lot when it comes to our friends, platonically. This is where it gets messy, and I didn't grow up in the church, so you have to lead with this one. But people change their mind. So work, bro, I don't feel like working on Sundays anymore. Deal with it. I don't feel like working on Sundays anymore. Or I'm not serving in this ministry anymore.
Bro, I'm not going to say that you're doing this on purpose, but I went through that exact same thing. And actually, I had a conversation with an interview that I just had about the same thing. Where, yeah, I grew up in the church. I grew up in lots of ministries, and you see a lot of different perspectives. I'll tell you that. And I got to the point where I had issues and problems with at least one of the places that I was at. So I said, bump that. I'm not going to persuade myself to continue doing this, right? And I left. No, the conditions of me leaving were not good at all. It's terrible, horrible. Like, it sounded like a rap battle with Arsenal and somebody else. Um, but I, I, I was not getting any. There was no incentive to continue this business. There was no. I was a volunteer, and 10 years in the game too, and it really hurt me when somebody decided to switch up. We were talking about the name situation, where I'm cool with names. I go by nicknames. Whether you want to call me Jay Poetics, whether you want to call me Joe, whether you want to call me Joey, whether you want to call me anything, that's fine. It's just that it's the intentionality behind the name connected to the level of connection we have in friendship that really matters at that point. And my previous leader decided to ruin those boundary lines. And in one of our arguments, they said, hey, you're Joe, you're little Joe, to justify the fact that he has saw me grow. You don't know me, first of all. And that irked my nerves, because you want to try to bring a friendship title to the point where no, there is no connection here. There's no level of depth. And you just conveniently saying, "Oh, you're little Joe," that's not helping anything.
Awkward as hell too. Like, what am I supposed to?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do with that? Like, you out here giving nicknames. I ain't never. When did I ever say that? Nah, I don't know. But I think, like, you know, something that you said there too is just like, I think it's also like, and I'm curious about this as far as like a question goes, is like, I think sometimes, like, especially like in like clerical spaces, we don't know how to be human sometimes. Like, church people don't know how to be human, and it irritates the hell out of me. Like, we'd be like, they'd be like, hey, oh my God. Like, hold on. Okay, so speaking of this, and I let him know very quick, I love this brother to death. So you know Nate, right? So you know Nate, right? I love Nate. Nate is one of the greatest men I've ever met in my life. Nate decided, for some god awful reason, he's gonna call me JJ for the day. And I quickly,
JJ.
Nigga, I was like, don't you ever call me that in your life. I very quickly, swiftly, kind of violently, like, it was like, don't you ever call me that again another day in your life. And he was like, oh, okay. And like, I was like, yeah, just don't do that. That ish is weird. I don't know why we're doing that. Like, just, we don't have to, don't force it. You know what I'm saying? And like, but it just, I think, but you gotta also be able to like receive people well and graciously, because sometimes like people in awkwardness will try to establish lines with each other where it's like, bruh,
Yeah.
moments like that happen where like, okay, now we have to set boundaries. Like, bruh, you're not about to address me like that. But you know what I'm saying? But I think like just being able, bruh, it was so awkward. It was like, bruh, I still had crust in my eyes. It was like right before we even like, and you know how early we be getting there, dog. Like, it was one of those times where it was just like, bruh, like I can still see my breath. I ain't had coffee in my system yet. And you know me, before I get caffeine in my system, I was just like, nigga, don't you ever call me that. What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, it was funny, B. It just, nah, dog. But yeah, man, I think that's important. I think another thing too, and I'm curious to hear your perspective on this. When we're talking about opt-out consent, when in regards of like, okay. All right. So like, especially like when we're in like churchy spaces or like when you work spaces and stuff. If you decide you might have a rapport with this person or this individual, and you know, you might be the super huggy type of person. Like, you're at church. Oh, hi, so-and-so. Oh, I can give you a hug. Bruh. And then there might be a Sunday. You woke up on the wrong side of bed. You still got crust in your eyes. You got dry drool inside of your mouth. You know what I'm saying? And whatever mood you were in, forget the backstory. You just not feeling, you're not feeling touchy. Are you in the wrong to tell this person, bruh, don't touch me. I don't want no doggone hug. I probably don't even want to talk to you or engage with you. You know what I'm saying, today. Have you seen
honestly,
that? Go ahead.
Yeah, for me personally, I haven't experienced it myself. Like, where I would be in a situation where I was in an awful mood, and then I walked up, and then someone like hugged me. No, I don't think I can do that. See a situation like that, because
so you're basically just telling me like I'm a grumpy old man then, because like there's some days like I'm just like.
No.
I'm like, oh, you're breathing. I'll be like, bro, I ain't gonna hold you. There's some days where I'm just like, bro, you breathing a little too loud. I'm gonna need you to back up 6
like I
feet.
said,
Like,
yeah, like I said before, I keep the same energy with everyone. So I'm not going to like emotionally change just because you want to hug me. It's like if you want to get in a deeper conversation with me and find out why I'm acting the way that I'm acting, then cool. But I feel as though a lot of people, they genuinely want to show a hi, I missed you, just some connection to where maybe sometimes we're not often in the same, yeah, to do that. And that's okay. Like some people like yourself, you don't want to have a hug 7 in the morning or 6 in the morning after you. But for me personally, how I deal with that, if I'm ever in a bad mood and I don't want connection, if I'm ever in a bad mood, I want to take care of that immediately. So on Sundays, where it's very like welcoming centric and it's very like yeah, talk centric, on Saturday, I'll make sure every negative emotion is taken care of. And even an hour before I see one person, I'll make sure every negative emotion or everything is taken care of. And this is really the reason why I walk to church. It's not because I can't find a ride or it's not because I can't take the bus. It's because I want that 30 to 45-minute span of time to make sure I'm mentally prepared to enter this system, you know? I want that connection with God to make sure that I've ended any emotional distress so that I'm ready to be in this space, so that I'm ready to receive a hug, so that I'm even ready to open up in conversation about why I was feeling the way that I was feeling. So I feel as though that moment of time is very important to me. You know, I'm a homebody. I grew up with one person in my life, and that was me. Um, and I even divulged this on my podcast yesterday. It I go by nicknames. I said this a couple minutes before, but there's a reason why I go by nicknames. The nickname Joey is not just a nickname; it's literally an identity. And when I was 15, I went through all my trauma. My mother died. My late pastor died. A friend of mine died. My favorite artist, XSS Tentacion at the time, passed away, and it was like I needed somebody. So I created an imaginary view of life, an imaginary perspective of life, and I called it Joey. And even till today, that's why the name Joey is just not a nickname for me. It's literally my identity. It's literally the thing that kept me going, right? So yeah, I have developed that so I can make sure I'm mentally prepared to talk to another person. You know, I know it sounds wild and I know it sounds outlandish, but yeah, I'll talk to myself and to get myself in order to talk to somebody else. I'll talk to God to get myself in order so I can receive a hug. Shoot, if I'm close enough with a person, I call that person in my circle. I'll talk to them before I even enter a social setting. So that's how I really perceive it. It's not that I'm just going to shun you away for giving me a hug. No, I'm just going to make sure I am in the condition to receive one if I know I'm going into the space to receive one, you know?
I think for me, what I'm like kind of getting at is like sometimes, like I think sometimes people like it goes back to like that routine thing with people, like because I'm not saying you have, and I'm not trying to speak anything into you, but there might be days or seasons changes and the relationship dynamic does change. Things happen, hurt happens, trauma happens, in which that you're not like too open to certain things. I remember when
Yeah.
I shared my testimony about being assaulted last year, and like there was a point in time I was like, bruh, I don't do surprises. If you pop up out of blue and I can't see you, and you know, I get violent. But at the same time, there's also things like, and you might get this. Somebody, oh my gosh, I've been here. I don't know about you. I've been here, but sometimes I've asked for prayer. Okay. Sometimes there's been times I've asked for prayer from people, and somewhere between, they were like, "Hey God, step aside. I got this." In mid prayer, and like I felt in my spirit. I said, "Nah, this is flesh. It's definitely okay." Somebody's trying to get they behind whooped, but I'm gonna see how this is going. You know what I'm saying? And like, sure enough, dude, it's like, what has ended up happening though is like, you know, sometimes like you could just be sitting there and you could be even like just praying, like for instance, or even with this, like you can be venting to somebody is giving you the space to vent. You ask for, "Hey, can I vent to you?" Like, and I've made it clear, like sometimes I'll bring something to you and brother Jonathan, shout out to brother Jonathan, you know what I'm saying? I will let it be known when I tell y'all stuff, and they be like, I'll be like, "Oh, and I'm looking for feedback, please." There's times where people will give feedback or advice, and I asked you for all that. Like, it's like, bro, I'm like, for real. It's like, there's times like, and people think like that's awful to say to another brother or sister in Christ. Like, bro, I didn't ask you for that. What? Well, I just, you know, I felt compelled in my spirit. It's like, yeah, but so? Like, and like, it's not in a place of arrogance, and it's not trying to be arrogant. And maybe if I am being arrogant, I have a right to tell you, no, I don't want to hear what you have to say. I just do. Like, if I get to choose whether or not I want to listen to God, look, free will here. If I have a right to whether or not I want to listen to God, that literally controls all this.
Yeah.
If I can tell him no, I ain't trying to hear what you have to say, D. Like, Peter told God in the flesh, Jesus, he was like, "Hey, I'm serious." He was like, Jesus was like, "Hey, yo, try fishing on this side of the boat." Peter like, "Nigga, I ain't trying to hear all that." Like, and he kept doing what he was doing. If he can tell Jesus, God in the flesh, I'm not doing it that way. Whether I'm in my flesh or not, I have a right to be able to say, "Nah, I'm not trying to hear that. I'm not trying to receive that." And sometimes, and this is important too, because like, yeah, you could be accused of being in your flesh, but sometimes somebody could speak something into you and speak something over you.
Yeah.
Like, you better get that off my spirit. What you mean? Like, somebody could be praying for you. And you can feel it too. For those that are, come on now, those that are spiritually awakened, come on now. You could be sitting there mind your own business and somebody praying over you, and then like, you like, whoa, hold up.
That's out of left field.
you know what I'm saying? Like, and somebody hits you and you're like, oh, well, that ain't good. And you could tell like something's not right. You know what I'm saying? Like, people, you need to be able to know when to, and you need to be able to like be okay to tell somebody like, nah, I'm not trying to hear that. Because sometimes somebody could end up praying for you, P-R-A-Y, and end up praying on you, P-R-E-Y. And that happens so many times. We see it so many times in the Bible where, like, you know, oh, well, I was just speaking some words of encouragement, but then like you feel worse after talking to them than you did before you came to them for encouragement. You know what I'm saying? So like, you need to be able, yeah, Joe, come on, bro. If I'm capping, let me know if I'm capping. Tell me if I'm working at a lid store or not. But I know in my experience, there's been so many times, bro. I told you this before. I don't know if I told you this privately, but I'll say it publicly. But like, bro, I went to yes, Tyler. You know what I'm saying? Boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, I'll tell you this. I don't know if I told you this publicly or privately, but I'll say it publicly. Bro, this is right after I found out I had bipolar disorder, right? And I told a couple of brothers in the faith, right? There's this one dude. I'm in the altar. I'm just worshiping, my nigga. I am worshiping at the. I am worshiping at the altar. I'm worshiping. I'm crying. Why am I crying? Because God is good. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling good even though I just got this diagnosis and I don't really know what it means and it's confusing. And if you want to hear me break that down, like, go check out that old episode. I broke it down many times. But bruh, this dude came over. I'm tall. He about your height. I'm 6'3". He's 5'3". So he's pulling my neck down, put his hand behind my neck, and is praying for me, talking about some God, please redeem him and deliver him from this dual mind that he has on him, Lord. Free him and set him free from set him free from this demonic bondage that he has over his heart and his mind. Like, nigga, I'm bipolar, not homicidal. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I ain't asked you for prayer. Like, I did not ask you to touch me. I didn't ask you to stigmatize me, though that was not your intention. I did not ask for you to engage me in that way. And, bro, I'm not gonna lie. After I got out of that space, I was like,
yeah.
You know what
So
I'm saying?
I kind of want to, I want to touch on two things.
Go ahead.
Specifically, that very situation. My previous pastor, he passed away of cancer, so rest in peace. But he had one hilarious thing. Every time we had a guest speaker, and the service was over with, and normally when the service is over with, every church person knows this. Normally when the service is over with, we all come up for prayer for the guest speaker. Now, I don't know why people want to be touched by the guest speaker and not by God, but that's a whole nother topic. But one thing my previous pastor would always announce every time would be, if there are any dollar store profits in the building, leave your hands off of the preacher. Now, me as a young kid, I never understood that. I just felt as though that was a funny thing he said all the time. I felt as though that was hilarious. Like, but over when I got older, I was like, oh, that's true. There are a lot of people who think they have the Holy Ghost on them and they just want to spit their own splatter on, and it's not God. It's absolutely not God. And words have power. And the demonic forces are real. God is real. Angels are real. Heaven is real. Hell is real. So what you speak over people, it comes to pass. So that's why my previous pastor said that. That's why he acknowledged that after the sermon was over, and he wanted to offend all the he specifically said, dollar store profits, get your hands off these people. And he didn't just say it politely, he said it like with some power. And he said it. But I also want, and that's to touch on the thing that you just said, but I also want to speak to this point, which probably relates or doesn't relate to this whole topic, where we need to be careful which pastor speaks over us, which spiritual leader speaks over us.
Sir, you better, you better talk,
Yeah.
and you better talk with your bird chest and put some barbecue sauce on them feathers. You better go ahead, say that. Go ahead and say it loud and proud. Go ahead.
But my thing about it is, a lot of preachers and a lot of pastors will say, you're called to this ministry or you're called to that ministry. No, you're just filling in roles because that's what you needed to fill. Like for example, I'm a drummer. A lot of people would say that this is my passion. This is my purpose. This is what God put in you, and I believe in Jesus' name. Blah, blah, blah. And they will say all this other. They will fake speak in tongues and all that, just to condemn me and to force me to being in this niche, to being in this cubbyhole that I'm a drummer. No, obviously, clearly, I'm a public speaker. I've done something last year that pissed some people off because I recognize that drumming was not my purpose. It's just something I did when I was 6 years old till 20. If I did something from 6 to 20, you'd think I'd be good at it. But and this is what I preach on my podcast. Preachers specifically, not people, preachers will use the Spirit of God, Jesus, the Holy Bible, to condemn people into their prideful needs. And people fall for it. Like, I don't understand. This is not your purpose. And sometimes it might be their purpose. It might clearly be, oh, you're a drummer, you're really good at drums. Pastors will use that, but then again, it'll go even deeper and it'll be like, you have to play drums a specific way. I'm like, first of all, no. And that's one of the problems I had when I was at that previous congregation, that I played drums a certain way. And what really irked my nerves is that apparently I couldn't praise God until I played drums this way. And I'm like, okay, no. So this is why I packed up and left. I'm like, no, I'm going to praise God how I praise God. I'm going to praise God however God put in me his purpose through me to praise God, to praise him. And that's what I can say about that. It's just like making sure that you're under the right preacher, the right person to speak life into you and to tell you your godly purpose and to tell you what God has really initially called you to do, and not what some phony Christian said, oh yeah, we just need you to do this, and I'm going to say, okay, I'll do that. And that's completely guided by their pride. I just need roles to be filled, you know?
Yeah, and I think like another thing too, especially like, and I say this too because this happens a lot with us as especially like as black men too, because a lot of us as black men, we find our worth in servitude. Like we find our work in performance-based action, like being able to do for somebody or do something and people affirm us in our actions. You know what I'm saying? A lot of our worth comes from community-based engagement where the community engages our performance. You know what I'm saying? And like sometimes you gotta be able to just accept these people may have only been called to you because of your calling. And if you step away from your calling and when they don't call anymore, you gotta learn between the difference between, is that God or is that man? Because sometimes we end up missing God looking at man. You know what I'm saying? And it's very easy where, just like as Joseph just described, where like we will allow certain things, whether they're gifts or talents. I don't really get caught up on that religious. I don't really get caught up in that religious litigation and mitigation personally. However, like whether they're gifts or talents, like sometimes people will pervert the vision of God has for you by what they deem to be anointed. And you have a right to tell them, yeah, I'm not acting in that anymore. Hey, look, bruh. Like, God told Abraham, you gonna do it like this. And he was like, I'm not. Hey, look, man. Look, let's keep it a beanie, okay? He was like, you gonna do this. He's like, actually, no. This is the father of our faith. I'm actually not gonna do that. So like, and if people fall off of you because of what you decide not to do, you know what I'm saying? It may not always be God. It might just be the fact that like people only have a horizontal type lens about who you are in the eyes of God, that they can't see you outside of certain positions, or doing certain ministry or acting in certain gifts or acts of service. Like that's real. You know what I'm saying? Especially for black men, especially. That's a trap that we fall into a lot, whether it's in work, whether it's with friends, whether it's romantically. And we decide to we actually end up giving permission to be that role and hold that position more times than not. So yeah, like I said, there's a bunch of knuckleheads in the Bible that said no to God. I don't care what anybody said. And if they can say no to God, I can say no to man. Like, period. Like, and I refuse to feel bad about it. Shoot, what I look like. But yeah, that as far as opt out consent. And these two are kind of weird. So these are kind of like, I want to go as far as say that these are like, they're not direct. They're like kind of like passive, but we'll get into this. So this one is called implied consent. Okay. Participation in a certain situation is sometimes considered proof of consent. This is acceptable for research studies that provide anonymity, such as opinion surveys. This may not always be applicable in marketing activities because of privacy regulations. So for those that don't know, I run a business, so like, you know, I figured I would like speak to something, give y'all a little bit of game, also while relaying this to how you handle yourselves in engaging like people on this ghetto planet we call Earth. Anyway, so this may not always be applicable to activities because of privacy regulations. But implied consent could lead to non-compliance. So let's go back to Friends real quick. A lot of times people will assume because you did not say no that it's a yes. This is with Friends, so bear with me. I don't even gotta get into that other on a relationship tip because y'all know y'all trifling. But like on just a friendship tip, no, hey, this is real. This is real, and I'm telling you, you see this all the time with your friend, with your boys. I'm telling you, you'll see this every time. Like, well, Joseph didn't say no, so I guess I could finish eating these chips. He ain't have the chance to say no, so that just only means he was going to have the time to say yes. Or, well, he ain't told me he don't like this music offends him. Like, say if like we're driving in a car, so I can keep playing music like this. He must like it. Well, he ain't told me to put. He ain't told me that he feels uncomfortable with me having my shirt off, so I'm gonna continue to have my shirt off. Like, no, hey, Joseph, sir, this happens.
I don't know what condition you have to be in.
Joe, it happens, dog. It happens, B. I'm telling you. There's so many times in a friendship space where this does not happen and people think it's cool. All right? Well, he ain't told me to take my shoes off yet, so I guess I can keep wearing my shoes in their house. It's very easy. Well, he ain't told me to stop cussing in his house, and neither did his mama. So I guess I can keep cussing in his house. Oftentimes, people will disrespect another person's boundaries and think just because they did not capitulate that this is indeed a boundary. What the problem is? They ain't telling me no yet, so it must be a yes.
My thing about it is
come on, and I'm a challenge and push back because I trust me when I'm a challenge and push back, and I got you, but I'm listening. Go ahead.
My thing about it is I don't have to voice it. I don't.
Say that again.
If
no,
you're my friend,
hold up. No, sir. Black man. Let me turn your volume up because you was too quiet. Say that one more. Say that one more again, please.
I don't have to voice it. I don't have to say that. I don't have to tell you to stop cussing around me. I don't have to tell you to stop doing this, or to stop randomly hitting me up about, oh, let's go to this place. Oh, no, let's. You should know by the context of who I am, what I stand for, what I believe, that you doing this action is unacceptable. You should know that it is inappropriate to be without your shirt in the vicinity of me and more people. You should know that it's inappropriate and within our friendship to say a certain word, and it doesn't even have to be a cuss word, to say a certain word that reminds me of a certain memory. You should already know that, you know? And I feel as though this is another way to identify who is with you and who is not with you. This is another way to identify who gives a what about you and who really does it. For me personally, I'm going to know if you're not with me. And that's just real. I don't care how you try to sugarcoat and try to kiss up on me and try to be my friend. I'm going to know just by your nonverbal communication that if we click or if we don't. And if we don't, again, I'm going to say this countless of times. I'm going to keep the same energy. I don't believe in making things awkward, but at the same time, I'm not going to have you around me. You know, the people in my circle are the people who they know the boundary line. They know when to switch the music to Maverick City. They know. They know. They know when to clean up their attitude. They know. And it's just realizing, if you've been in that scenario where more people have disrespected you because they cross that boundary line, well, then you need to separate yourself from those people. Those people are not healthy around. Those people are not, they're not adding to you and your beliefs, because at the end of the day, you have your beliefs. You have, that's literally who you are, your identity. And if you convolute your identity with this false narrative of, I'm going to accept other things because they just crossed that boundary line, now you're just mixing yourself up. Now you find yourself cussing when you didn't, when you wanted to clean yourself up in Christ. Now you find yourself going to these different spaces that you have no business going to. Now you find yourself, because now you, since you want to keep this friendship going and you want to be like good buddy buddy with these people, now you are erasing your boundary line. And that's no help to you. That's no help to how you bring life into your life. So honestly, knowing the people around you is very important. Setting that boundary line early is very important. Like when I meet somebody, it's going to take me a long time to be comfortable around them, because I don't want to be in a sensibility where I'm going to conform my life for them just because I want their friendship. I don't need your friendship. I don't
Or not
want
even
it.
that, but like acceptance. Like a lot of times that people will like abandon themselves because they want company. Ain't that wild? Like, ain't that weird that you can abandon yourself to want company, but you're alone still? Ain't that wild?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we do that, but here's the thing, that happens so many times, and a lot of times we will make ourselves at home with people that did not open their door to every room in their house to us. Like, I'm telling you, bro. Like, and here's another example. Like, I'll break down for you. When people talk about like implication to who, also I think that's important, that what we need to discuss, because sometimes y'all be thinking, well, you was giving me the vibe, like nigga, I got a lazy eye. What are you talking about? I wasn't giving you, like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I have a lazy eye. I mean, if I wake up on the wrong side of bed, maybe. I don't. Anyway, but like, you know, when we're talking about like implied, like, even if it, like, yes, nonverbal communication is considered communication. Certain tells, like how I say things, sarcasm, yada yada yada. Yes. This is where it gets dangerous, though, and I will say this. As far as implied consent, because then there's this. Okay, so like I kind of agree with you, Joe, but I kind of disagree with you, and I'm gonna explain why. Because sometimes we think we're being clear as possible with people, but we are not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I try, and I gotta work on it. I gotta learn how to be more short and sweet with people, but I try to be as clear as possible, even if I'm talking your damn head off. I'll be like, look, this is what I tolerate. This is what I don't tolerate. You know what I'm saying? I am very explicit in what like I give access to. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to leave a lot of room for assuming, because then that means I did something wrong, and the person who I am engaging has done something wrong. So like making your intentions known is important too. Like for instance, like I'm going to tell like, say if I mentioned earlier, I'm going to tell like you and Jonathan, hey, this is what's on my heart, this is what I'm looking for. I've already implied what I am giving a yes and a no to. You know what I'm saying? That's it. If you try to go past that, then I mean, like, I don't know. My little brothers and my little older brother and my little brother, we might have to swing. I don't know. We might have to go. I don't know. We might have to fight. Anyway, but like that happens too many times where in which that like people aren't like overt and explicit and clear communication. Communication saves a nation when it comes to people we're doing life with, because then we do have examples of like people don't pick up on social cues that well. There's instances where people don't know that something is indeed a boundary. And if you yourself are not consistent with it, you have to teach people how to love. You teach others how to love you by how you tell them what you hate. You know what I'm saying? Like, it sounds horrible, but that's real. Like what you tolerate is what you will allow in your orbit. And like, for me, I don't really like certain words. I made it very clear. In many, many instances. I just do. Like, people say it on accident, that's fine. Like, whatever. But I've made that clear. You know what I'm saying? I'm very direct, because then there's a certain responsibility on the other person. You know what I'm saying? Like, I done did everything. I done dribbled. I done crossed up 5 defenders. I done dropped somebody. I done hit the shimmy on them, and I alley-ooped it to you. Ain't nobody defending you. Ain't nobody underneath the basket. Ain't nobody on top of the basket. All you got to do is put that ball in the hoop. And if you fumble that, and I set you up to the point that you had to do like very little work, then I'm going to be looking at you funny like, why are we on the same team?
Yeah, I think that, and definitely you have vocalized what can and what you do and do not allow to be said. And even in this conversation, I've protected that narrative. And yes, I do believe that people don't need to say immediately what those boundaries are. And I still have that belief. Like, if you're going to really rock with me, you're going to learn me. But also, yes, I would say that people should voice what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. Now, I don't want to say that I completely on board with that, even though it's a sensible answer to give. The only reason why I don't subscribe to it is because I really wish that people would understand, if you're going to be in a friendship with me, it's not going to be lukewarm. And I don't want to always keep telling you, I don't accept this, or I do accept this, or no. So I'm kind of in the middle with that, I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle with that.
I say that because like we're human and we mess up, and given social climate of things, like you'd be surprised how many people use the C word I hate, because it's just normal. It just is. It just is. And it's fine. It happens. I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? I don't like it. I don't like it. And when it's said, I cringe a little bit. You know that in the back of your head, but you're not always thinking of these things when you're just talking loosely. It happens. So when I say that, it's because, like, I also don't have to remind people. But if I feel like it's getting out of hand, you know, with love comes correction. I serve a God that ain't got no problem telling me, hey, bruh, you know that ain't right. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be that tree that gets cut down, or that tree that gets cussed out like Jesus. You know, Jesus cussed out that tree, right? Jesus cussed that tree out. Jesus cussed that tree out, and it burned to flames. Like, what in the hell did that tree do? Anyway, but, like, I say that to say, like, you know, you have to be explicit with people, because sometimes you can set people up to fail when you can set some people up to fail if they don't know where to meet you at. Like, you giving them coordinates to meet you somewhere and you don't even plan on showing up. Did they lose you, or did you not even plan on them meeting you here? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a two-way street for a reason. Like, we have a responsibility. Like, I say this all the time. Like, we have a responsibility. Like, no, it's not okay for anybody to just assume. Just because I didn't explicitly say, no, don't do this, doesn't mean you have the right to just do it. No, you don't. However, we have a responsibility to our siblings on this ghetto planet we call Earth, to let them know the things that we do and don't tolerate, things that we do that we are and are not seeking, things we are or are not looking for, because we don't want to end up in a place where we are not given what we did not ask. We don't want to end up in a place where we are without something when we could have been with. You know what I'm saying? And we don't want to end up in a place where things can be awkward and you might be a little abrasive and you could go around and bite somebody's head off, and all that could have been avoided because you told them, hey, this is what I was looking for you from. And, like, it's like, yeah, they might have dropped the ball, but bruh, you never gave them the ball to begin with. You ain't passed it to them. Like, I'm just, you know what I'm saying? Like, you fumbled it before they even got it, and then get mad when they didn't run it into the end zone. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's a responsibility when we have with one another when we're talking about consent and laying down boundaries and communicate with one another, because it's just like, yo, if I don't know, I don't know. You ever heard that quote that says, he don't know what he don't know? That's real. Like, he don't know what he don't know. Like, he's not going to be troubled with some he don't know that troubles him.
Yeah.
And that's real. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I say that to say, like, you know, sometimes, like, and this is where, like, this metric where we have to be more graceful with people is, like, one, even if you let somebody know, they ain't gonna get it all the way. They not. Like, bruh, I've had this video up telling people why I don't like the C word. Very people that be like, man, that was a beautiful episode. These niggas still say the C word. And guess what? They ain't gonna get it like that. You know why? Because they don't live with my experience. They just don't. They won't get it like I get it. They don't know what they don't know. They have to be educated. They have to be taught. I serve a God where I was born a hypocrite. I have to be taught all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just do. I'm not even gonna get all preachy on y'all. This is just real. I'm just saying this out of a Christian perspective. Like, ain't nobody gonna get it off rip. We just not. We expecting perfection out of imperfect people. And even in all of our efforts, somebody still had to die for this imperfection. So, like, I can't do it. I can't do it on my own, and I can barely do it all with him. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you gotta be graceful. You gotta take your time. You know what I'm saying? You can never overuse a turn signal. You can never be over diligent. You could definitely be under diligent and underuse certain techniques and tools. As far as this explicit consent or explicit boundaries, Bro, I'm not coming in on Sunday. Don't ask for me. Don't make me feel bad for not showing up. If my no is no is a complete sentence. Like I don't feel like showing. I don't feel like volunteering on Sunday. But you're really nah. I knew that.
Oh my gosh.
I knew that. I knew the risk. I knew that. Hey, I gotta deal with that. Nah, I know, but I changed my mind, and that's okay. Or better yet, if I had no intention of ever doing this to begin with, and then you ask me, I'm not gonna feel bad if I refuse to feel bad if I don't do it. Oh man, well we're gonna be short-handed. Yeah, I figured as much. That's why you hit me up. But I'm still not going to. I'm making it very clear. I don't care how many times you ask. No, my no is a complete sentence. You know what I'm saying? Like that's it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I want to say something, and I don't even think this aligns with the conversation, but I want to say it anyway. In church spaces, when people say, "I want you to do something," they're the original intent is, "I want you to do something so we can get better," right? I want you to do something so you can carry on what we're asking you to do, and we can progress, and we can da da da, and we can have life, blah da da. But then they just drop the ball on the progression part, and we just sit in this circle of nothingness. And now I'm burning myself out doing this thing that I said yes to because honestly, I thought it was a really good thing. It's an amazing thing, but we're not getting better. And now my yes now turns into a no because this is not worth it anymore. And now they're guilt tripping me about, and this is, I think this is mainly in the Christian space because
You better talk. Go ahead. No, come on, man, come on. I'm listening.
This is mainly in the Christian space because they have that moral excuse to use God in a twisted way to say, "Oh, you're not a Christian no more. Oh, you're going against God. Oh, you're defying the works." Like, no, like you're using my hard-earned everything for some twisted narrative that's not going anywhere. And a lot of people, they give their yes to something that's an endless cycle of pain and distraction of what the original plan was to get better. And for that, I said no. Like I'm going to hand my yes to something that's actually fruitful. I'm going to hand my yes to something that doesn't get me in a spiral of we're never getting better because the people who could elicit us getting better don't want to do anything about it. So I'm sorry that you hate me now. I'm sorry that actually I'm not even sorry for it. Like bump you for you not understanding my pain. But I can't keep doing something that's one not benefiting us, me, one not benefiting the glory of God, and two is just not going anywhere.
No, that's real. And you know what that's called? Young Joey. That's called coercion. You know what I'm saying? Like you will end up doing something out of guilt and condemnation, and your heart ain't even really in it. Like that happens. That happens so often. Like God doesn't even want you to pay tithes if your heart ain't in it. Come on now. Like God don't even want you to pay tithes if he feels it's if you're doing it out of religious obligation. You know what I'm saying? So why would you serve when you don't feel in your spirit to do it? And it's like, because you might be doing it not out of encouragement. You're doing it out of guilt and condemnation, which is not those are not fruits of the spirit. You know what I'm saying? Like guilt and condemnation drove Judas to kill himself. What you talk about? Like what do you mean? Like I don't like pride is the devil and shame is his cousin. Like I don't know. I don't got no time for it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I think especially like when we're talking about that, especially with coercion, bro, my no is my no. That is it, bro. You see me with my kids. You see me with my kids. Yeah. Don't ask me again. That's it. I said it one time, and one time was the prime time. You heard me? Like, that's it. But that happens so many times, especially like in friendships. When we're talking about coercion, like, oh man, bruh, can we use your backyard, use your hot tub? Nah, bruh. Oh, come on, man. Like, we was really looking forward to use your back because you got all this great space and we had such a great time before. Don't you want us to be happy? Don't you want us to have a good time?
Happy word. Oh, that happy word. Oh, that
don't you want us to have a good time? Don't you want us to enjoy ourselves and share these memories with us? And then you're like, I guess. But then you like, damn, I don't want to. Now I gotta clean up after myself. These fools ain't gonna be helping me clean up afterward. Now I gotta be stressed out with people in my space that I didn't want in my space. Like, that's called coercion. That's not consent. You're being strong-armed into doing something. That's not consent. Okay? Like, take back to church. Bruh, serving and you don't want to serve. Bruh, if I don't want to serve, especially, bruh, here's another thing. If I come and I said no already and you don't ask me 100 times to show up, don't ask me to be nice when I show up. Like, I'm here now. Hey, I'm Marshawn Lynch. I'm just here so I don't get fined. Like, you better get out my face. Like, I just... And God's not, and I'm out there because one, I don't want to be there, and I know God don't want, and God know I don't want to be there, and God is not delighted in me doing something out of condemnation. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And I don't even gotta go this far with it, but y'all already know. For those that are in romantic relationships, she said no already. Why you begging? For those, he said no already. Men can say no too. You know what I'm saying? He said no already. Why are you keep asking over and over and over? Sometimes this happens a lot with like romantic relationships. Oh, romantic, and I'm going to take this back to like church relationships and like work relationships too. Oh man, if you don't do this, like, I'm just going to be really, really sad. You really want to make your spouse happy, so then you'll dissolve certain boundaries to allow them to be appeased. You're abandoning yourself again. That's manipulation. You know what I'm saying? That getting guilted into dissolve your boundaries. That's not cool, Jack. You know what I'm saying? Well, if you won't do this, then threatening. You're getting threatened to some degree to dissolve your boundaries. Happens a lot in romantic relationships. You may be promised certain incentives if you dissolve this boundary. Hey man, I'm just being honest. Let's keep it funky. A lot of y'all be promising something for your partner after in which they did not want to do something. So then you be like, hey, look, I know you hate I don't know. I know you hate these little stupid movies because, like, forget like romance, because I actually like romance novels. But like, hey, I know you hate watching this because really I know you hate watching this because it's kind of triggering and it brings up a lot of childhood trauma for you and everything like that. But like, if you do this for me, I'll buy you them new Jordans. I'll give you some something. You know what I'm saying? Like, that happens a lot where like you will compromise in certain areas and then you're incentivized to kind of cope with what you are having to compromise. That's not consent. That's coercion. You're being sweet. You're being like sweet talked to compromise in an area and being promised something, but you are breaking a promise to yourself just to obtain another promise. You still lost.
Can anybody in the church say amen?
That you still lost. And let's talk about the church real quick. So many times y'all will touch and cross other people's boundaries and promise them and touch on their ambition. That sometimes ambition can be fleshly too. But like, y'all will, like, I've seen it so many times, especially in this old church I went to. You know, if they hey, if you serve, pastor will be very pleased with you.
Pastor will be very pleased with me. You know what? I want God to be pleased with me. So,
But no, but Joe, you know that, bruh. You've seen it so many times. Pastor will be very pleased with you. Hey, you might get invited to pastor's cookout. You know what I'm saying? You might get invited to pastor's house. You've always wanted a relationship with this man. Like, hold on. Like, we're bartering, and you're trying to bribe me to have a relationship with my pastor, and I gotta go and compromise in this area that God Himself told me don't. You serious? Like, we see it so many times though. Like, I normally, pastor, it's like, me and my wife have not been doing good. Like, we're actually like, we're trying to rekindle our marriage and everything like that. So I have to set this boundary of, how much time I put into the church, because I'm not putting enough time into my marriage. Man's first ministry is his family. So I'm gonna just say that right now before I say what I say next. And I have seen where the church or elders will ask these individuals, "Hey, can you do this day?" No, I already told you. This time is carved out for my family. I need to rekindle and establish and stoke the flame that is my family, my wife, my kids, whatever it is. I already told you this. Yeah, but pastor's like, pastor was thinking about making you an elder maybe like next month or something.
Oh no, I have a story.
Joe, that was triggering for you, huh? Like,
I have a story. It's not even my story, so I can't really like give specifics. But I have a dear friend, a dear brother, who is in that exact position where he's in this church space that he's not benefiting from whatsoever at all, nothing. But then the leaders are saying, you're going to be the future elder, and this is literally what was said to him. You're going to be the future elder. You're gonna be the right hand man. And whenever this conversation is done and through with, I'm literally going to send him this clip, and he's probably going to laugh hysterically. And we've had conversations with this brother saying that no, that you should follow the path that God has told you or that God has put in you to follow, and not follow this conviction from a church leader that's not even in God's planning for you. It's like, so what? I'm an elder. What then? You're gonna give me the position of pastor next, just so you can coerce me to do something else for you? It's like, and why should that title even matter in the first place? And I feel as though this realistic situation that this brother is in, it's not healthy, because then what when I get to that position? Then what? I'm the elder now. Your promises have come true. I don't like it. I'm not enjoying this. I know that this is not my calling. This is not my purpose. And I know that you've only used the elder topic to get me to keep doing what you wanted me to do. So I finally got into this position of what you've been promising me this whole time. Now what? You're gonna be you're gonna be the leader of the treasury. Okay, cool. Then what? When can I break away and do what I actually want to do?
While my wife is filing for divorce, my kids are calling another man dad. Like, and come on, bruh. Hey, keep it a beanie out here, dog. Like, and like the people don't understand. Like, that is predator behavior. Like, bruh, I done told you, I cannot. My family is in, like, we shaky right now. You know what I'm saying? and you gonna come in here and try to promise me something that's not gonna fix. Like my wife ain't gonna be impressed that I'm an elder. What you mean? My kids miss me. My kids miss me. Ain't gonna be impressed. Yo, your boy the treasurer. They can't even spell treasure. Can't even spell treasurer. The hell they care about the treasurer of the doggone church? And they ain't what? Like, but it happens. That's some predator behavior. People will incentivize you with something that taps, especially church people. They will incentivize you in areas that will feed your flesh, but will never nourish your spirit, and leave you and leave you malnourished in other areas. Like your family is starving of you, and God sent you to them. So why are you neglecting a gift, the gift that God gave you, that is your family, for ambition? And that only wouldn't have happened if, one, you didn't respect your own boundary, and two, the other person didn't push you. Especially a pastor. What? Man, I will make you the treasurer.
Then what?
Talk to my representatives, and it's gonna be my kids. Like, you talk to them and tell them this phony behind damn offer. Like, what? No, be like, we gonna be treasurer. What? What? If I can't use that card to pay, if I can't use that treasurer card to pay some of these bills, I ain't trying to hear none of that. Can I use that for my BG&E? No, get out my face. But yeah, yo. And this one, this is super important, and I'm gonna wrap up on this. When we're talking about consent, and I mean this, and I keep saying this, and if this is your first time checking me out today, like, I've already kind of opened up and said, you know, I am a Christian raptivist. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Christian rapper / activist. You know what I'm saying? Like, my God does not delight in people not, like, God don't delight in that. You know what I'm saying? The Holy Spirit can't even reside in me, and I can't even act in it without giving my consent to it. Joe, am I capping? No. Like, I cannot serve God without consenting and yielding to the Spirit. Get what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The dove, the physical representative of the Holy Spirit will not reside and rest on my shoulder unless I consent to it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, when people act as if, especially church folk, y'all get on my nerves. Like, I really want to slap the back of y'all neck with a wet glove. I really want to slap the back of y'all neck with butter on my hand. Like, I just don't make no doggone sense. Like, when people think, like, I can't tell you no. Like, for why? I don't know why. Like, I'm gonna kick it funky with you. Peter told Jesus no. You know what I'm saying? Abraham told God no. How? You know what I'm saying? Like, this man detoured, was 100 old, got some shorty named, what was her name? Bathsheba? Was that her name? Got her pregnant before he, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? He said, you know, like, come on, bruh. Like, Judas told Jesus no. He told Jesus, bruh, just do this. Jesus like, nah, I have other plans. This is what's gonna happen. Judas like, yeah, nah. That's not what we gonna do. You know what I'm saying? He did not consent. He didn't even consent to God's plan. So I say that to say, like, oh, like, don't get yourself caught up. Like, I say this to my brothers and sisters that are impressionable, and are kind of reluctant and kind of like hesitant to be like, well, they're my brother and sister. Bruh, I'm telling you, God's grace is not that short with us that if we tell him no, that is books for us. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's one. Two, people are fickle in this earth. This earth is little compared to heaven. Okay? You got your mansion, they got theirs. You can stay in your mansion all doggone day. You don't even gotta talk to these folk when they die. If they make it, that if they make it, that's important too. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't gotta be liked by everybody. Don't abandon yourself to get company. You're still gonna be lonely in the end. It don't make no doggone sense. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And also to like this other thing, bruh, like you, God knows you better than you do. And you know you outside of God, you know you better than anybody else. If it hurts you in a bad way to get something that is very, I'm gonna get biblical real quick. If you are drinking from an inferior well to quench a thirst that ain't gonna be quenched by an inferior like drink, ain't no point in drinking it. Ain't no point in thirsting yourself and making yourself and not quenching that thirst to indulge in something that ain't gonna do the job for you. So don't compromise in areas because it tastes good or it look good or it might make you feel good momentarily, and long-term wise it's gonna cause a multitude of problems and trauma. You know what I'm saying? Like, and for those that keep like budging and asking, bro, like that's some predator behavior, B. It just is. I hate to say it, that's just some predator behavior, dog. Like, for those that proclaim the name of Jesus, that's some predator behavior, B. Like, it just is. Like, you know who asked me over and over and over, you don't really believe that, do you? You don't really want to do that, do you? You don't really want to tap into that and subscribe to that, do you? He got suspended. His name is Lucifer. He's tapping on my shoulder 24/7. Are you relieving him? Because if you are, then I know what side you're on and you need to back up. You know what I'm saying? And I don't got time for that. I don't got time for it. Joe, what you got for me? You look like you got I'm over here watching you on my monitors. He's like, man.
Well, I guess I can just summarize this whole thing by saying, make sure people are comfortable. Just make sure people are comfortable. Just going back to the first point that we brought up with me in my little situation with me being younger. I was not comfortable going out into that social setting. Even though I said yes, it wasn't that my yes extended to that and that alone. And I just want to reiterate that you could put people in very harsh situations if you do not understand that yeses are individual uses. They're like tickets. And
Say
you have
that.
to apply. You have to apply for a new ticket. Every action, everything you say, everything you do, non-verbal communication, verbal communication, and you just cannot keep riding on the same ticket, you know?
Say that.
And that could get you in trouble with that person, but that can also get the person in trouble physically. In my situation, I could have been, like, I'm young, I'm not supposed to be in this place, somebody could have caught me. But also mentally, you could keep riding on somebody's ticket and then boom, you enrage them into a conversation and you start picking on words, and that starts bringing up trauma, but I think that would be the one point, if we're going to wrap this conversation up, I think that would be the one point that if you didn't hear anything within this episode or this conversation, hear that. Make sure that you keep applying for tickets. Make sure you keep making sure people, their yeses are ended, and then extended into a new yes, and to make sure that people are seen, heard, because not a lot of people are going to speak up about their yes, not a lot of people are going to speak about their no. look, many people are not like you. Many people are not like me, where we can say yes and no. Many people just go with the flow, and that's how people live. But the most important thing is making sure people, they have that sense of, I'm heard enough that I can change an entire narrative with my voice. And just making sure people realize that is what I would say. And the thing that I would emphasize out of this entire conversation.
Absolutely. And like I think like that, I tell people that all the time, like, yo, I'm gonna keep repeating myself because it's just like, bruh, like when you give somebody a sense of direction, there's no way, if you overuse a turn signal, nobody's gonna think, oh, you misled them. You let them know your steps every step of the way. I'm so serious.
Yeah.
It's when you underuse them is when people get lost, people get surprised, people get caught off guard, people then don't feel safe following you. They don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to increase following distance. I'm giving like a driving analogy, but they're going to increase following distance, and you're going to eventually have no followers, or it's going to appear like you by yourself because they're going to look at you like, bro, you reckless. You underutilize your turn signal, and you make it unsafe for those that are behind you. And not even that, you make it safe for those that are next to you, in your vessel, in your space with you. Because they got to occupy this space with you. And you out here being reckless and irresponsible with turn signals, and they can mess around and get hit. You know what I'm saying? Like, or get hurt. So like, I'm not being picky. Like I said this at the beginning, and I might have to bring this conversation back at some point. Meaning like just come back and do it again, because like, and I don't even really care how many people really watch this, and I knew this was gonna be an uncomfortable conversation, but this is important, like, because the church dropped the ball with this so many times, but they should be the leading forces and voices on this conversation. You know what I'm saying? So like, let's just, you know what I'm saying, my brother had a good point when he said, like, you know, make sure you understand, keep applying. You know what I'm saying? My bad, Joe. My bad, Joe. I got to call real quick, and that lets me know I got to wrap up soon. But you know, make sure you keep applying for tickets. You know that yes applies only so far. Context is my favorite color. You know what I'm saying? Context is my favorite color. Make sure you know what color it is before you operate in that space, B. Because like, this is like, it's not really up to us to just, it's never too much to ask for direction when it comes to people. Please don't mislead nobody, especially those that are disciples of Christ. Jesus said it is better to tie a millstone to your neck and throw it into the ocean if you mislead his children. So let's please not mislead one another, and let's please not claim to be lost when we were given all the direction. Okay?
Pretty much.
That was good, man. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care if y'all like what I had to say. Y'all could fight me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna argue with nobody that ain't paying me. You got anything else to say, you can sign up for the Patreon. It's $2 a month. This episode was free for you, anybody to cuss me out and disagree with me. After that, y'all had to y'all gotta come through. Anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. This was good. I enjoyed talking to my brother, man. Like I said, I didn't really expect anybody to come on here and engage me, but that is fine, because at the end of the day, God owns the outcome, and he made a way for this conversation to happen. I'm bringing this conversation back. I don't care if anybody like to have it or not. It's an art form that needs to be taught, and people need to learn a sense of mindfulness. So thank you, everybody. I will be back tomorrow to break down. This movie is interesting. I'm going to be breaking down Honk for Jesus with Pastor Rob from I had on earlier this year. Love that brother, man. But I'm gonna be having Pastor Rob come back. Brother Poetics, you know what I'm saying? Appreciate you coming through, dog. This was good. I'm gonna have to bring you back here to have a one-on-one one day, because you know you a consumer, but a lot of people don't know you just yet. So we'll have to do a collab at some point. But yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. I will see y'all tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Always remember, you are beautiful, blessed, and beloved. Raisins still go on potato salad. I know I ain't been here in a while, but like, that's nasty. Let's not do that. We're supposed to love ourselves and nurture our blackness. That's anti-black. You know what I'm saying? Let's not colonize the potato salad. It just don't make no sense. Raisins don't go on potato salad, and Jesus wasn't white. Have a good night.